Within the realm of the bold and the beautiful, Sally Speatra has consistently been regarded as one of the most captivating and cherished characters available. Her life has been a rollercoaster ride of highs and lows, full of love, heartbreak, and redemption. Her path has been filled with all of these things over the course of her life. She was a force of nature, a larger-than-life figure who epitomized the spirit of the underdog, always struggling to create a name for herself in the ruthless world of fashion. The original Sally Speatra was performed by the great Darlene Conley, who was a force of nature. Fans of the character were overjoyed to see the return of the Speatra moniker when the character was revived in 2017, with Courtney Hope playing the role of the younger version of Sally Speatra, who is frequently referred to as Sally Speatra II. Not only did this new Sally carry on the heritage of her great-aunt, but she also forged her own path, successfully navigating the perilous waters of Forrester Creations and Spencer Publications. However, what exactly took place with Sally Speatra in the television show, The Bold and the Beautiful? What was the progression of her tale, and what were the main factors that ultimately led to her leaving the show? In this extensive analysis, we will analyze Sally's journey from her reintroduction to her tragic exit, exploring the important events and relationships that marked her tenure on the show. Sally Speatra made a spectacular entrance into the Los Angeles area in the year 2017. In addition to being fiery, determined, and full of ambition, she possessed characteristics that immediately brought to mind her great-aunt. The objective that Sally had in mind was crystal clear. She desired to bring Speatra fashions back to life and bring the Speatra name back to its previous grandeur. Sally's arrival was highlighted by her courageous choice to revive Speatra fashions, a move that immediately put her on a collision train with the powerful Forrester family. Sally's arrival was marked by her daring decision. Once again, the rivalry between Speatra and Forrester was renewed, which brought back memories of the shenanigans and machinations that the original Sally had been up to. On the other hand, this new Sally was not merely a carbon replica of her great-aunt. She was a contemporary woman who had her own aspirations and goals in life. From the very beginning, it was clear that she had a strong interest in fashion, and she soon put together a group of disaffected individuals and dreamers who shared her vision. Her grandma Shirley Speatra, her sister Coco Speatra, and Darlita, the eccentric receptionist, were some of the others that were present. As a group, they established the new Speatra fashions, which was prepared to take on the outside world. Nevertheless, the path to achievement was not at all simple. In the beginning of her time in Los Angeles, Sally had a lot of difficulties. She was constantly confronted with criticism from the Forresters, particularly from Steffi Forrester, who regarded Sally as nothing more than a copycat artist who was attempting to make money off of the identity of the Forrester family. Sally was unfazed by the challenges she faced and was resolute in her pursuit to demonstrate that she was more than simply a Speatra. Rather, she was a formidable opponent in her own right. As Sally was traveling through Los Angeles, she happened to run across Thomas Forrester, which brought about an unforeseen change in her voyage. Sally's fiery temperament and her enthusiasm for fashion captured the talent and attractiveness of the designer, who was fascinated by her. Despite the fact that their families were at odds with one another, Thomas and Sally discovered that they were attracted to one another, and a romantic relationship developed quite rapidly. Additionally, despite the fact that their relationship was hot and passionate, it was also filled with difficulties, as Thomas found himself caught between his love for Sally and his commitment to his family. His allegiance was put to the test on a consistent basis. Forresters, and Steffi in particular, were adamantly opposed to the relationship because they believed that Sally was using Thomas to get an advantage over Forrester Creations. Steffi was particularly adamant about this belief. The love that Thomas and Sally shared appeared to be indestructible, despite the obstacles that they faced. Yet, their relationship was ruined by a series of betrayals. When Bill Spencer, a cutthroat media mogul, set his sights on the Speatra skyscraper, that was the moment that everything seemed to be turning around. In order to get the property, Bill was willing to go to any extent necessary, in order to use it for his own personal growth ambitions. A sad turn of events occurred when Bill deceived Thomas into thinking that Caroline Spencer, Thomas's ex-lover, was passing away. Bill told a lie with the intention of causing Thomas and Sally to break up, and it was successful. Thomas, who was under the impression that Caroline required his assistance, abandoned Sally and went back to New York, leaving her distraught and all by herself. After Thomas had left, Sally found herself in a position where she was susceptible to Bill's schemes. In the end, Bill's dogged pursuit of the Speatra building resulted in a surprising occurrence. He gave the order to demolish the facility while Sally and her team were still inside. As a result of the explosion, Sally's hopes of restarting Speatra Fashions were dashed, and she came dangerously close to losing her life. In the aftermath of the catastrophic explosion, Sally was left to pick up the pieces of her life that had been destroyed. A devastating blow was dealt to Sally when Speatra Fashions went out of business, and she found herself at a crossroads. Her business, her love, and her sense of purpose were all gone. She had lost everything. On the other hand, Sally was not the type to quit quickly. It was with the help of her family and friends that she started the process of slowly putting her life back together again. It was during this period that she unexpectedly formed a partnership with Wyatt Spencer, who was Bill's son. The situation that Sally was in was something that Wyatt could empathize with, and he provided her a way out, both professionally and personally. For Sally, Wyatt's support meant everything in the world, and the friendship between the two of them swiftly developed into a romantic connection. For a period of time, it appeared as though Sally had at long last discovered happiness. She started working as a designer at Forrester Creations, where she collaborated with Wyatt Spencer and his brother, Liam Spencer. Sally's history, on the other hand, continued to torment her. The wounds that were caused by her connection with Thomas and the treachery that was committed by Bill were deep, and they hindered her capacity to trust individuals who were in her immediate vicinity. The sensation that Sally was still living in the shadow of her great-aunt and that she would never fully escape the Speatra legacy was something that she was unable to shake, despite the fact that she made every attempt to suppress it. In spite of the fact that it was a loving and caring partnership, Wyatt's relationship was not without its challenges. A source of contention between Wyatt and Sally was the fact that he continued to harbor affections for his ex-girlfriend, Flo Fulton. While Wyatt was having trouble dealing with his feelings, Sally's fears started to come to the surface, which resulted in misunderstandings and disagreements. As the tension in Sally's relationship with Wyatt increased, her levels of desperation also increased. It seemed as though happiness was constantly just out of reach, despite the fact that she had put in a lot of effort to reconstruct her life. At a time when she was feeling particularly vulnerable, Sally made a choice that would alter the course of her life. She chose to lie about her health. Sally devised a plan to pretend that she was suffering from a terminal illness because she was afraid that she would lose Wyatt to Flo. She had the belief that Wyatt would remain with her out of love and compassion if he believed that she was nearing the end of her life. Sally believed that this was the only way to prevent herself from losing the man she loved, despite the fact that it was a drastic and unethical step. When it came time to pull off the fake, Sally enlisted the assistance of her close friend and fellow conspirator, Dr. Penny Escobar. They worked together to construct a narrative that was compelling, complete with fabricated medical records and symptoms that were staged. Because of the realistic nature of Sally's act, even her closest friends and family members were convinced that she was on the verge of passing away. The strategy appeared to be successful at first. After hearing the news about Sally's condition, Wyatt was utterly heartbroken and made a solemn pledge to remain by her side, providing her with solace and support. However, as the fabrication became more sophisticated, Sally found it increasingly difficult to keep up the appearance that she was telling the truth. Her mental and emotional health started to suffer as a result of the amount of stress and guilt she was experiencing. Sally's behavior finally led Flo to become suspicious, which ultimately led to the deceit being exposed. Flo, who was adamant about finding out the truth, started looking into the matter, and the results quickly revealed that Sally had been lying the whole time. Sally broke down in tears when she was confronted with the proof, admitting that she had been up to no good and pleading for pardon. The discovery that Sally had been lying caused shockwaves to travel across the city of Los Angeles. The lengths that she had gone to in order to keep Wyatt was so extraordinary that her friends, family, and co-workers were astounded. Sally found herself shunned and isolated as a result of the betrayal, which was considered to be too much for many of them to endure. The treachery left Wyatt in utter disbelief, and he decided to stop his relationship with Sally. The trust that existed between them was irreversibly broken, and he was unable to forgive her for the lies and manipulation that she had committed. In spite of the fact that Flo was also upset by Sally's behavior, she ultimately decided to take the moral high ground and encourage Wyatt to demonstrate compassion. Sally took the difficult decision to leave Los Angeles, taking into account the fact that her reputation was in shambles and that she had no one else to turn to. It dawned on her that she needed to remove herself from the city for a period of time in order to contemplate the errors she had made and figure out how to start over with her life. Sally realized that this was the only way to move forward, despite the fact that it was a difficult decision to make. The conclusion of a turbulent period in Sally's life was marked by her departure from Los Angeles. Although she had traveled to the city with the intention of restoring the Speatra name, her voyage had been plagued with heartbreak, treachery, and loss despite her best efforts. Sally remained resilient in spite of all that happened to her, and she was determined to grow as a person by gaining wisdom from her past errors. As soon as Sally moved away from Los Angeles, she went on a trip and spent some time getting to know herself better. It was clear to her that in order to find peace and clarity in her life, she needed to remove herself from the drama and chaos that had taken over her experiences. Over the course of her travels, Sally visited a number of different places, where she reconnected with old friends and family members who provided her with the necessary support and encouragement. During the time that she was away from home, Sally started working on her personal development by going to therapy and discovering whole new creative outlets. She rekindled her love for fashion, but this time it was different.